It's the 3 on Plex TV.
Yes, sir. I've been wanting to do this video for a while. I just haven't came around to doing it, but now it's time to do it. Rudy Gobert is an overpaid, overrated bum, in my opinion. Upon research of his stats, I think he does his job for the most part, right? Which is rebounding and blocking shots and just playing defense. But I don't think that's worth how much money he makes. And I'm going to explain that. Rudy Gobert was given $205 million over 5 years by the Utah Jazz, which is approximately $41 million a year. In 9 seasons, he's played 9 seasons, which I thought he played longer, but I guess that makes sense. He's played 9 seasons, and I'm going to go through his averages throughout. Not from his rookie season or his first couple seasons, but from 2015 to last season. In 2015-2016, he averaged 9.1 points, 11 rebounds, 2.2 blocks. Okay. In 2016-17, he averaged 14 points, 12.8 rebounds, and 2.6 blocks, which is his career high in blocks, which is really good. Almost 14 points, basically 13 rebounds, almost 3 blocks a game. That's solid, right? 17-18, he averaged 13.5 points, 10.7 rebounds, and 2.3 blocks. 2018-19, he averaged 15.9 points, 12.9 rebounds, and 2.3 blocks. 19-20, 15 points, 15.1 points, 13.5 rebounds, 2 blocks straight up a game. 2021, he averaged 14.3 points, 13.5 rebounds, 2.7 blocks. Well, I guess that was his career high. Then they had the 2.6 as his career high, but the 2.7 is his career high in blocks per game. 21-22, he averaged 15.6 points, 14.7 rebounds, and 2.1 blocks, which is his best season. Which again, that's really good actually. 16 points, 15 rebounds, 2 blocks a game is really good. 22, and then last year, 13.4 points, 11.6 rebounds, and 1.4 blocks. He had a huge drop in blocks. So, those numbers are solid for a starting center in the NBA. Most of the time there, his rebounding is relatively high. 12 to 15 rebounds a game is really good, right? And the 2 blocks, he's won multiple Defensive Player of the Year awards. All that stuff is solid. But I believe he's being looked at in a higher realm because most bigs in the NBA aren't doing this. If it's not Jokic or Embiid, there's not a lot of centers that are playing like this, that are getting over 10 rebounds a game, that are getting 2 blocks a game. So it's making him look better than he actually is. Because although those numbers are solid numbers, and for his career, he's averaging 12.5 points per game, 11.6 rebounds per game, and 2 blocks per game. So 13 points, 12 rebounds, 2 blocks. Average for his career. That's not worth $205 million. In no world. Like Shaq said, boys and girls, if you can average 13 and 11 a game and 2 blocks, you too can make $200 million. I'm not giving $200 million to a guy that can't go and get me a bucket because he has no post game. All those points that he's gotten has either been in pick and roll situations, lobs, or putbacks. He can't post up and go get you a bucket. He doesn't have a mid-range game. He doesn't have a post game. He can't shoot threes. So all of those points are assisted or made by somebody else setting him up to score or him being left open because nobody's worried about him scoring anything. I'm not giving $200 million to a guy that can't go get me a bucket. And even defensively, yes, he's averaged 2 blocks a game for his career, which is great, right? Not everybody can do that. And he has multiple Defensive Player of the Year awards. I'm not disputing that. But no one respects him on the defensive end. No one is scared of him defensively. Everyone tries to go at him and dunk on him. Dikembe Mutombo, people weren't trying, besides Michael Jordan, people weren't trying to dunk on Mutombo. They see him, they going the other way because they know their shot probably going to get blocked. Invoking fear. Keem, invoking fear. People know he might block my shot. KG, Tim Duncan, they're not going at them. If that ends up happening as the play is designed, they'll go, but because they're NBA players, but they're not trying to go at them. People go at Rudy Gobert on a regular basis, trying to dunk on him, trying to post him up. He doesn't invoke any fear on the defensive end, even though he's won multiple Defensive Player of the Year awards. Even Dwight Howard, Dwight was going to send your shit to the 15th row. So people weren't just going at Dwight Howard. People don't respect Rudy Gobert. That's not me just saying it. John Morant has said it. Anthony Edwards, his teammate, has said it. Multiple people, Zach LaVine, multiple people have said they don't fear Rudy Gobert no matter what his stat lines say. So if he isn't feared defensively, even though he does make defensive plays, don't get me wrong. He does alter shots and block shots, don't get me wrong. He can't go and get his own bucket. He's not feared defensively. He's just doing what a center is supposed to do in a league where most centers aren't. Is that worth $200 million? No. Not in my opinion, at least. And the reason I feel like I call him a bum is because he's overrated and overpaid, which makes him a bum, in my opinion. If he was making $80 million, that's perfect. For what his production says, that's perfect to me. Let me see again. 13 points, 12 rebounds, 2 blocks a game. $80 million, maybe $100 million over a certain amount of time. Over 4 or 5 years. That's fine for me. Right? But $205 million over 4 or 5 years is armed robbery. He robbed Utah and he robbed Minnesota. He's robbing Minnesota now. And that's why Donovan Mitchell didn't have any respect for him and wanted to leave Utah. Because he's probably like, you gave this motherfucker $205 million and he's not really doing shit. He's 7'2", 7'3". He should be getting rebounds and blocking shots. And he can't even go and get a bucket. People, if you watch those Utah games over, he was being left. Because people weren't worried about him on the offensive end. He was being left. The big comes up to double Donovan Mitchell. Sometimes Joe Ingles. They're not worried about him. And that's fine for $80 to $100 million. Not for 200. Not for 200 and you can't go get me a bucket. Not for 200 and people aren't even scared of you on the defensive end. You make plays, but nobody's worried about you. And even in Minnesota this past year, all his stats dipped. I understand points because you got Cat and you got Anthony Edwards there, but his rebounds went down and his blocks went down. So the two things that you are really being paid for are regressing. And now Minnesota probably can't even trade him because people thought, well, maybe he'll play better in Minnesota. And he didn't. He played worse technically, statistically at least. He didn't make that team better. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong. But just watching him play, nothing screams $200 million to me. And again, like Shaq said, if you could average 13 and 12 and 2 blocks, you too could make $200 million in the NBA. Robbery. It's more stuff too, but that's just off the top of my head and the little notes that I wrote. I wish I had my boy Angel here with me because he'll really go in more detail with y'all. I might even invite him over. We'll do a part 2. We'll do a part 2 to this. But I hope you guys enjoy. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you think Rudy Gobert is a bum? Are you okay with this for $200 million? Like, if you were a GM, would you give $200 million for this? For Rudy Gobert? Let me know in the comments down below. If you think I'm wrong, I could be wrong. But make sure you like, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe, make sure you ding that notification bell so you know every time I drop a video. And most of all, YouTube, I love you guys. Peace.
It's the 3 on Plex TV.
Yes, sir.